So hello my brothers and sisters, my name is Tim Heijen and I'm a Dragon Witch. Today I want to tell you a story that happened to me. You know, when you are a Dragon Witch, when you are really inside of the dragon's path, a lot of things happen, what you can call paranormal activity. And because you are very open to the other side, you can say, you are open to the fifth gate, that is a far away gate. When you open the gate for the dragon, then you might see some things. And this once again happened, and this was a few years ago. It was during the COVID pandemic, the COVID time, you can say. And I always said, I always said that I will never get corona because I am way too strong. But in 2021, I had my first COVID, and it was horrible. It was disgusting how sick I was. You know, it was also fast as well. This disease just I came from the job and it was just like a light headache that I had. But once I was home, it was like oh I was dying like ugh. But I took my temperature and it was 41 degrees and it was still rising. I took a pill to lessen it down and it was still rising. I was so sick. I couldn't even move. I could feel everything in my body. I couldn't move at all. I couldn't breathe as well. I think that COVID made some damages inside of my body. And it's maybe because of the fever that I had, this high fever, that I was seeing things, many things actually. Um, things that were really, like strange figures, nightmarish figures. And of course, I thought it was just the high fever that I could see all of these nightmarish figures inside of my bedroom. And of course, I couldn't let anyone enter it because I had a phone call from Brussels. Don't let anyone go inside of your room. Don't let anyone in your neighborhood anywhere close because my kind of corona was kind of disgusting. Really, I was so happy that I finally got rid of it, but it took a long time. But by seeing all of these figures, you can say, inside of my room, um, it took a long time. This and 2 days that I could see all of these figures, but of course I brushed it away like it's the fever because of this I could see all of these things. But at the second day, I could see one figure, and this was so scary. A dark, shadow like figure on two legs, like humans do, just hunging over on my bed. And I was looking at it, and I was in fear, but it was not really in fear because I had so much fever that I didn't really want to care about it. And you know, I wanted to stand up. I remember this, but from one moment to another, I passed out. I passed out. It was like I was seeing like these stars in front of my eyes. Like I wanted to see closer if this figure was real because I could have swear that this figure is real. And I wanted to get closer, and now I passed away. I passed not away, but I passed out from fever. I think so. And after 6 hours, I stood up from opened my eyes, and I could see, not where this man was now the dragon, standing and looking at me from beside my bed. And it was like I was having this fever. I mean, this dream. I thought that I was still dreaming. I thought that I was still sleeping, but I was looking at the side, and all of these figures, and especially this scary figure, were gone. They were gone, and the dragon with me, that I could see, and I was immediately. I still had this high fever, but I was so happy. The dragon, and and that was so strange. Whenever I could, I was raising my hand to touch him. I feel him. I felt him, and he was like putting off of this, like this smile that he had. I didn't. I mean, it took a while. It was also very emotional. I didn't care anymore for the fever, And there is one thing that the dragon actually said that I could understand. That he said, I chased them away. They're gone now. And I was so happy, but I didn't care anymore about the fever. It, I could see him with my awakening eyes, but once my fever was gone, he was no longer being seen. It was like this disease took care that I would see things, imagine myself things. But once I did this and touched his face, like his jaw, I could feel it physically, and I was like, "What is happening? Is this real? Are are you really here?" Like, but of course, the fever I had almost 42 degrees. It was dangerous. What I had dangerous, but I couldn't go to the hospital because the hospitals were full, and I decided myself to better stay there. And I couldn't breathe. And there was one thing that also struck me. Once this figure stood over and hunched over me, looking at me, I could not breathe. It was like someone was standing on my lungs, like ah. But of course, they said that COVID can attack your lungs. So I said it's COVID. But once I stood up after 6 hours and I could see the dragon and I could even touch the dragon, it was better. It was like a relief. I could breathe once again because I had to. I couldn't breathe in the beginning. Of course, I had to open my windows because, and even then, it was like. Uh, of course, later on, I had 3 times Corona and 3 times on December. Every single time I can put on my agenda that every time I get COVID on December. 3 times already. But these 2 other times, they were not like the first time. The first time I almost died. It was a horrible disease. And at my job, they said Corona or COVID is not real. It's all sensation. Oh, oh, it's for real. It's 100% real. And I'm very thankful that I decided to take my shots. Maybe this saved my life. You could say, but somewhere, and this happened before. Like, if I should believe the images that I've seen, then it could be that the dragon was there all the time to hold my hand, not to. I mean, every time when something dangerous happened inside of my life. Once I was 2 years old, once I had my brain disease, I had the same thing. I mean, it's just the stories of my father, because he was the only one allowed. I would scream and shout as a 2-year-old to only let my father in. Not my mother, not anyone else. And I was always grabbing something. But I was sick. I was deadly sick, and I was always grabbing something. And once I came inside of the scanner and out, everything was gone. And even the doctor said, "How is this possible?" Everyone was giving up on me, and I'm sure at that moment that I was seeing the dragon. And I was also in a very high fever, just like I had with COVID. Very high fever, but I was only 2 years old, that I could see him. Like my father said, you always wanted to grab something, like there was something in front of you. Then you were smiling for the first time in weeks. I didn't see that coming. And once you came out of the scanner, you were cured. And that is also something that happened once I had this COVID. It reminded me of that. Um, 41 degrees going on to 42. It's yeah, you can say that is not good. And I took pills, and every time, it even pills to lower down the temperature, but it was always rising. And now I see all of these figures, like, of course I chased it up. I brushed it away like it's like a fever dream that I have this all of these figures. But also the thing is, and I knew this because it was in 2021. I knew this, that you are actually very open to paranormal activity. So I wasn't sure if what I saw is real, and even to this day, it's still a mystery. And it was not like I was also grabbing, like I was 2 years old, that I could see the dragon in high fever, and a bit later, it was actually gone. I still had the coronavirus. I still had the COVID for a month. for a month this was still inside of myself. But later on, the temperature went down and I felt better again. Um, yeah, I'm not going to lie, I was actually afraid that this COVID might be the end of me again, because my dragon interfered every single time that I was going away, you can say. The second time was once I wanted to end my life because I felt I was so bullied, I felt lesser than dirt, and I wanted to do this, but there was a force stopping me not to doing, not because I was convinced to do it, but there was a force like holding my hand. And then the third time was once I was going to have a car accident with my father. I heard the voice of the dragon saying, "Let him stop down, let him slow down." And I said this to him: "Wild boar is going to cross the road, and we are going to have a car accident if you drive that fast." And he slowed down, and you could see wild boar, an entire family of gigantic wild boar crossing the street just at the nick of time that I could say to him, because I had an image of us having a car crash and I would not survive. And I said this to him before we saw it. Still to this day, he looked at me like I'm a witch, and that is not far away from the truth. And a few years ago, I could see the same thing again. Once I had this COVID, because this COVID, once I mean, if I remember it right, um, it seemed like it took an eternity. How sick I was. I was like, yeah. Once I was reaching the 42 degrees, I was in panic a bit. Like, this is not going down; it's still rising. And I see all of these figures like they were standing on my lungs, really. But after 6 hours, I could see my dragon telling me I chased them away. They're gone. And once I touched him, it was like real. And I wondered myself, is this all real? And I was happy. I even had a tear. Like every time when I could connect with the dragon, it's very emotional. Even if I have so much high fever, I didn't mind. I was so happy that I've seen him, and later on it only disappeared, and I didn't see all of these nasty, nightmarish figures again. That is why I say to my brothers and sisters, the dragon is a guardian, and I always say to the dragon, I'm not worthy of it. But he said that I was, and I have, you know, I don't have to say that I'm not worthy. The dragon will decide that, not us. The dragon will always be by our side. And I'm so grateful for him. It was like he saved my life 4 times already, if I can believe the images that I've seen. But I could still remember that I physically could touch him. And that is something that I wish for all of us, not to have this high fever and then, of course, your dragon is there to save your life. Of course, not that. But I wish that you could see your dragon. And there is a way to see your dragon. There are many ways to see your dragon, but to have that, to finally have a way to have your dragon with you, that you can see or touch him, you have to become a dragon witch, my brothers and sisters. You don't need initiations. You don't need to be in a cult. You don't need to be like having this high priest, like, oh yeah, now you're a dragon witch. No, of course not. Love for the dragon makes you a dragon witch, and your desire to be there. And my dragon knows that. I know that. We want to be together. And whenever someone is in danger, and that is something that I say to the dragon all the time, whenever you would be in danger, I would give my life to save you. And I mean that. I would give my last and final breath for him. And he knows that. And that is also what your dragon does. Your dragon would do everything for you, even face death and even defeat death.